The 49ers' next move just became crystal clear as the Niners just bounced out of the playoffs against the Seattle Seahawks away. That was a brutal loss, every which way of the word. We don't need to get into all of the details. I'm definitely going to need you guys to let me know in the chat and in the comments how you felt about that game. But more importantly to me, what do the Niners do going forward? This was a retool year. We definitely got way more out of this year than I had imagined, especially if we had the foresight of knowing all of the injuries and all of that stuff. I never would have imagined we would have made it this far. But let me know in the chat and in the comments what you think needs to change going forward. We're going to be doing a double whammy here of breaking down the game a little bit, although there's a whole lot of that game you can't really take a lot from, in addition to also talking about the next move for the 49ers, which I think is absolutely obvious. It's clear to everybody out there. Let me know in the chat what you guys think there. Let's jump into it, starting with just general thoughts on the game. Hit subscribe if you're a 49ers fan, but let me know your general thoughts on the game for sure. Let me know what you felt like was good, was bad, whatever. I want to go into I want to just go phase by phase. We'll just start off with offense. Okay. So, by the way, the prediction challenge is now over. I'll let you guys know who the winners are tomorrow at some point, maybe Monday, I guess, depending. But we'll get to that right away. Let's start off with the offense. Let me know from the game first how you felt about the offense and what you think needs to change going forward. I love that I'm seeing you guys in the chat already. I want to get my thoughts out there, and then I'm going to go to you guys, and then we'll jump to defense, we'll jump to special teams, and we'll finish it all off with retooling and kind of what the plan is, retooling. I should not have had this much prep time for a video. I did, because this game was over so early. And the way that the Niners kick off the game, which is a special teams problem, by the way, on that kick return coverage, but the way that the game starts, every which way is bad. Every which way is bad. And I'm not going to take anything away from Christian McCaffrey, who's been an MVP of the 49ers this season. I'm not going to take anything away from Brock Purdy. I know that some folks will be in the chat and they're going to talk about how bad Brock Purdy was or whatever. I'm not getting into that conversation today based on what we saw from Brock Purdy. When the game was actually within grabbing distance, I'm not taking anything away from Brock Purdy. When you get into the position where you're chasing the game, I'm not really going to hold anything against him. If anything, the one thing that Brock Purdy did, he had an interception and he had a forced fumble. The forced fumble so late in the game doesn't even matter. Like, forget about it. But whatever. You want to call that, that's fine. It's going to go on the stat sheet, which sucks for him, but whatever. Who cares? The interception is the one that frustrated me the most. There are so many plays in this game that frustrated me. We'll get to them when we get to defense and special teams especially. But on offense, Jake Tonjes, great first down, fumbles the ball, had no need to continue trying to fight for yards, but that's what these guys do, so I'm not going to blame them there. Nice job, I suppose, if you want to give the Seattle Seahawks defense for forcing the fumble, whatever. But unfortunate there to not protect the ball there. Jake Tonjes has been really, really good this season when needing to cover for George Kittle, in some ways kind of adding something that George Kittle doesn't have. At least not entirely. So I think there's some good stuff from Jake Tonjes. But for me, what's crystal clear to me tonight, and I've felt it a lot throughout the season, we need another RB2, man. Brian Robinson Jr., I like him. I don't love him. And the 49ers desperately need another running back. We'll get to wide receiver too. So the first thing on my clear problems list is Brian Robinson Jr. Now, this overlaps with special teams because Brian Robinson Jr. in kick return, what are you doing, man? What are you doing out there? It has become very clear in the latter half of the season that teams are trying to kick the ball in the direction of Brian Robinson Jr., and they know he's had two good returns. They both happen in the same game. Outside of that, the guy goes down in first contact every time. Every time. He's not as fast. He doesn't have that burst that Sky Moore has. And so it doesn't feel like a special teams kick return. It feels like a guy who's fielding the ball that wasn't supposed to. That's just the honest opinion. I felt it with Debo last year too. With these new kicking rules, things just don't always line up perfectly for a running back. Now, it can work out well if you can get all your blocks the Niners were not having any of their blocks today. We'll get to more on that on special teams. The other thing that is glaringly obvious about this offense, and we can talk about offensive line. I see folks you in the chat already talking about the offensive line. I respect it. You're not wrong. This is a number 2, number 1 defensive line, showing the 49ers offensive line how it gets done. And it's brutal at times. Dominic Purdy giving up a big sack on one play. Guys who are good players giving up big plays. So I hear the offensive line chat. For me, the wide receiver core is where the problem is. The more important problem to me. That is not just because of Brandon Ayuk. The Niners desperately need a guy like Brandon Ayuk. They need a perimeter. They need a solid X receiver. They need a big body, fast moving, great hand catching kind of receiver. And they don't have that guy. He doesn't exist on this 49ers roster, not with the speed and the separation skills that Brandon Ayuk had in 2023. We won't talk about 2024. Forget about that season entirely after Brandon Ayuk's holdout, bad play, then injury. And we won't talk about 2025 because he gave up on the team sometime in September, September, somewhere around there, gave up on the team completely. So no, we're not talking about Brandon Ayuk 25 or 24. We need what we had from Brandon Ayuk in 2023. We have not had a guy like him since then. Juwan Jennings has been a great fill-in receiver, but he's not a wide receiver 1. He does not get the separation you need. And in a game like this, don't get me wrong, Juwan Jennings is a great player. If we keep him around, I'll be ecstatic about that. 100%. I'll make a big deal about that. But the guy is not the guy that you need against teams like the Seattle Seahawks. Juwan Jennings is good, but you need more than Juwan Jennings. And you know what? The better wide receiver you get in that X position, the better Juwan Jennings is. That's just the honest truth. Now, Ricky Pearsall is good. I really like Ricky Pearsall. I think he's great, actually. I think he's a great player, and he can be a great player. The PCL injury is unfortunate because we don't really know what he could have been this season. And that's now the second season in a row that we're saying we don't really know what he could have been. And that's because of the PCL injury, this ongoing, never fully healing knee injury that continues to get re-injured, re-aggravated, because he has not gotten healthy. And so, you look at Christian McCaffrey for comparison on the PCL injury. What does he do? PCL injury, this is against Buffalo. Basically, the season's over at this point. But at that point, it's not quite over, but it's almost over. Christian McCaffrey could have come back if the Niners had made it to the playoffs last year. But he gets shut down. He shuts it down, man. He's out. He just calls it. I'm out for a month. Got to recover, right? So that being said, I think those are the two areas on offense that are just the most glaring needs for me. I think offensive line overall has been very good. I think you have a above average quarterback in terms of his ability to extend plays, to get out of the pocket, holding onto the ball longer than other people, and able to do it. If you have wide receivers who can get great separation, I'm genuine. I genuinely believe the 49ers need to go out there and at least draft 2 wide receivers and probably pick up another one in free agency. It all depends on who they get and how they get them, obviously. But I think that with Brandon Ayuk gone, that money being cleared, most of it, I think there's an opportunity there for the 49ers to go and get somebody big. We'll talk about options down the line. That's not a today conversation. That's not a tonight conversation. Let's talk about defense. Wait, sorry. You guys did talk about offense, so I'm gonna give you guys a shot there on that one. Yeah, I see some Seahawks fans in the chat as it appears. Okay. If you're watching this game if you're watching this video after the live stream, just skip ahead past this part if you don't really care. I'm looking at explosive wide receiver. Yep, absolutely. Number 3 is solid. Look, you're talking about Brian Robinson Jr. I agree, he's a solid player. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but he doesn't give you the threat that you need from a running back in like a 1-2 punch. He doesn't in the way that the Niners like to run Christian McCaffrey next season. Odds are that the next season, Christian McCaffrey's probably going to get injured for a chunk. That's just the history, right? The guy goes for over 400 touches this year. There's a good chance he can end up injured. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I would like it not to happen, but it can happen. And Brian Robinson Jr. is good. He's not the guy. He's not that guy, in my opinion. Okay. That's just my opinion. You can disagree, by the way. I'm good with that. Okay. Let's see here. Let's jump on the defense for a second. I agree with you, David, by the way. So we got here, Love Jennings and Pearsall. They aren't ones. Agree. Like, don't need to get rid of them. They're just not ones. Okay. So let's go on to defense, though. Thank you so much, by the way. I just noticed I got a super in there. I don't know how many of those I might have missed, so I'm just going to appreciate the super real quick. We had no business going this far, maybe next year. Yeah, there's a precedent for this kind of a game, or this kind of a season, right? Where things are not quite right. You go beyond what you need, what you expect you're going to be able to do. You get all these young bucks, a lot of experience. So thank you so much for the super chat. That was super nice. Yeah, 100%. Ricky Pearsall was never supposed to be a wide receiver one either. Agree completely. Thank you for saying that, by the way. A lot of people, when Ricky Pearsall got drafted, people are like, oh, they're going to get rid of Brandon Ayuk. And I disagreed completely from the very beginning. He wasn't meant to be that kind of a guy. Like, look at a Jerry Jeudy in Cleveland, or players like that. These guys who could be great slot receivers. They also have the ability as route runners to catch the ball outside the numbers. We've seen Ricky Pearsall do it many times this season. Arizona has a couple big catches outside the numbers. So it's not that like he's a slot receiver only. It's just that's not the game. That's not the X. He's not the X, in my opinion. You're not asking him to be that way. But, appreciate the take. Talking defense now for a second. So defensively tonight, I mean, in general, right? Secondary needs work for sure. Like, definitely. Okay. It's really hard to know how good this defense could have been had we had Fred Warner, had we had Nick Bosa for the whole season, had we had Michael Williams for the whole season. Like, it's hard to know what the team would have looked like and how it could have been. I think we saw some really good things out of D. Winters tonight and throughout this season. He is not a perfect linebacker, but he's been really good. So that'll be interesting to see how the Niners play that situation. I imagine they will draft a linebacker because they tend to do that, but it is really interesting. I'll just leave it at that. But I think defensive line still needs some work. I think we genuinely need to continue to work for another elite pass rushing threat. Now, I don't know what that looks like. My gut, like my preference would be in the draft. If you can get a guy like that in the draft, although I think the Niners have too many needs to get that guy early. If you can get a guy like that in the draft, it's a big help because it doesn't put the pressure on the Bryce Huffs of the world. Now you got to move off from them or something like that. So I think there's something there for sure. The Niners really looked in their retooling early on to focus on run defense. When Michael Williams was on the field, they were there. What we've seen from CJ West and Alfred Collins is enough for me to suggest as they continue to grow with Michael Williams healthy, we will have a good line in terms of stopping the run. I do believe that, like genuinely believe that 100%. But I still think it needs a little work for sure. I'll just leave it at that. Secondary, dude, you guys are going to have to let me know in the comments what you think about this one because I'm struggling with the secondary. I look at the numbers, I look at the coverage snaps, and things don't look great from the secondary. As individuals, I kind of like all of them for different reasons. Like, I like Jair Brown a lot of times. I like Malik Mustafa a lot of times. I like a lot of guys. I like Deommodore Lenoir. I like Ronaldo Green at times. But they all, maybe not Deommodore Lenoir, but they've all had some moments other than Demo. They've all had some moments where you're like, I don't know. I like Upton Stout. I like the direction he's going. I'm stoked that Upton Stout, when he first got signed or when he first got drafted, there was like this conversation of like, he could be the slot guy. That's kind of what the Niners have done in the past. Seems like what they're going to do here. Demo is from the slot. He goes to the outside where he belongs, that kind of thing, right? But Demo was unbelievable in the slot as well. So I like Upton Stout in the slot right now. I like that going forward. So I'm optimistic on that. I thought guys like Chase Lucas, Jason Pinnock stepped in at times, and they looked like backups at times, but also had special skills. Chase Lucas was great rushing the passer. So he was a great blitz option. So I think there's stuff on this team. There are building blocks. And I'll throw out there, by the way, I don't think Robert Saleh is getting a job. Just look at the odds right now. Look at the odds for every different coaching position. I don't think Robert Saleh is getting a job. I think Brian Flores is probably getting a job over Robert Saleh. And I think that's going to be the tight window for like a defensive coordinator position moving to a head coach position. I know that's not really the topic of this video, but it does give me a lot of hope in what Robert Saleh has built so far and what's coming down the line. Of course, the Niners are way beyond public about the fact that they're going to do everything they can in their power to keep Robert Saleh. And I don't see Robert Saleh. I think he'll be choosy. I don't see him with what he's building right now. I don't see him going out there and taking one of those lower hanging fruit jobs. I think he's going to go for one of the big ones. I think he's going to wait. There's a lot of big jobs open. There's also, that means a lot of big head coaches with the actual experience that are also going to be available. If I had to guess right now and put money on it, I would put money that Robert Saleh is going to be the DC next year. You guys feel free to disagree for sure. I love Robert Saleh. I don't think that I'm just saying that from my own hope, but I do actually believe that. Like, that's just my honest opinion. Let me know what you guys think on the defensive side here. Holy smokes. I've been missing supers over here as I'm going through my notes. Thank you so much. Thank you for your thoughtful and informative content this season. Keep up the great work. I can't wait to watch more of your stuff next season. Thank you so much. Who's that? Big Nasty Woogie. Let's go. Thank you so much, Big Nasty Woogie. You're the man. Thank you. Or woman or whatever. I don't know, but appreciate you. Awesome. I had another one in there. I want to jump on there. Wish we had Debo and Brandon. Dude, I feel that. 2023 was special. 2023. And Debo wasn't even as good. He had a couple unbelievable games, don't get me wrong. But he wasn't even his 2021 Debo self. And I still miss it. I still miss it so much. I'm with you there. I totally get that. But Nicole, with a great point. Don't need players that don't want to be here. And I'm not talking about Debo. I'm talking about Brandon Ayuk when I say that. Okay. More thoughts on yes, 100%. More thoughts on defense. Let me know what you guys think. I'm feeling optimistic we have Saleh, and I think that's going to be a big difference maker. So I'm absolutely on that. Seattle made big moves to beef up their defensive line with solid players. We did absolutely nothing but draft defensive line players who made no impact most of the season. If you mean big individual moment impacts, like, I get what you're saying, and I take your point for sure. I wouldn't say they did nothing, but I'd agree that they did not do a lot. They did not do enough. So I'm with you there. They were in an interesting spot from a free agency financial point of view, and I actually will get to that on the final segment. So stick around for that, Culture Creep, because I hear you there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that when we get there in just a moment. Let's quickly glance over special teams, okay? Let's glance over special teams for a second, because the special teams did a massive improvement from last year to this year, a massive improvement from the first game to now. However, they've still got a lot of work to do. In my personal opinion, you guys let me know if you disagree. But from my perspective, I'm thinking our special teams improved greatly because of this guy right here, Eddie Pinheiro. That was a move the Niners could have made a long time ago. You can fault the 49ers for not getting rid of Jake Moody earlier. Respect that take 100%. Clearly, with hindsight's 2020, like, I get it. What I will say about special teams needing to improve, though, like, love the Pinheiro move. That was a great move. That's great. Keep him around. But the starting field position of this game, and again, forget about the second half. Just look at the first half. The starting field position of this game, though, was so incredibly lopsided, and this is not the first time that I've felt this way this season. I've felt this way a lot this season. I feel like the kick return game started to kick up for a little bit, which started to feel good, right? For like 5 games, maybe. But really, throughout the majority of the season, I felt like we were a lock to get between 25 and 32, which is fine, I guess. But I would really like to see the Niners consistently getting to that 30 mark. They had a little stretch there where things were really good. And when you look at this game tonight, so defense, they started on the 43. They started on the 42. So I'm talking about 49ers defense where the Seahawks started on the 43, on the 42, on the 37, on the 20. That was a good one. That was nice. And then to open the second half, or second drive of the second half, they start off on the San Francisco 42, on the San Francisco 47, on the San Francisco 38. Like, that was just so lopsided this game. And I get part of that's because you're chasing the game and you have turnover on downs. You have a fumble. Like, you have other things that are factors in that for sure. And they come from other positions. It's not just special teams' fault. But I feel like the special teams in general, I would like to see somebody else next to Sky Moore. That's just my personal opinion. I would like to see Sky Moore, and I'd like to see somebody else who is a genuine threat, speed threat. Throw a wide receiver back there, whatever. Like, I want someone who has moves. I love Brian Robinson Jr.'s ability to kind of be sneaky, sly when he's moving through tackles and stuff at times. But in general, Brian Robinson Jr. feels to me like more of a, he's not an every down back. He's kind of a guy that you'd like on a goal line scenario. You'd like him as more of a power back, but he's not enough of a power back to just be a power back. So it's kind of a weird situation about BRJ. Like, I struggle with that on there. I still think it was the right move. The Niners did the best thing they could with what they had available to them at the time. They made a trade for him. I still think that was the right decision for sure. I'm not going to say, especially knowing that Christian McCaffrey could have gone down for a chunk this season, and he just happened to not do that. So that's my personal opinion. You guys let me know what you think on there. I thought tackling tonight was brutal. I will say on the kick return, nobody said this on Twitter, so I'm like, maybe I'm just wrong. But I felt like on that opening kick return in the game tonight, that was clearly the number one problem to like open up this game. The number one thing when you go into this game is like, against this defense, you cannot play from behind. So to go into this game, be down 17-0, and they've only had 68 total yards of offense, and you're down 17-0, that's a problem. That's a real problem. And it all starts because of that kick return. I thought I saw a block in the back. I saw it. Every time I watched the replay, I saw a block in the back. Just going to say. All right. But that being said, the Niners did not do a good enough job on that one. Eddie Pinheiro resulted to maybe some soccer background. Not really 100% sure there. It looked like a slide tackle to me. I played soccer for a long time, so I got a feel for that. Felt like a slide tackle, but whatever. They called it a tripping. I didn't really know you could call a tripping penalty if you didn't actually trip the guy. So that's kind of weird to me, but whatever. All that being said, let's get to the retool. I want to get to the retool here, and we'll go from there. Okay. So on the retool, Brandon Ayuk out. Juwan Jennings, we'll see. I think he'll be out. I'm guessing he's going to be gone. But if the Niners can keep Juwan Jennings around, I would keep him. At his age, 28 years old, I believe, he's got a couple more years left in him for sure. And he's pretty sure-handed this season. He's had a couple drops this season. He had one that goes down as a Purdy interception that he kind of bobbles. But like, overall, I love Juwan Jennings. I love his mentality, and he's the best wide receiver blocker I think I've ever seen in a 49ers uniform. He's just unbelievable. The number of times he's taken guys into the benches, you got to give this guy some credit for what he brings your team in terms of tenacity and attitude and energy. I don't know how this is going to play out. If I had to guess, though, I would guess that he's gone, which sucks. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see him leave. But I do think that he's probably gone, because I think the way that things worked out last year to this year, I think he's trying to get a bigger payday than the Niners are going to be willing to give him. That's just my honest opinion. You guys let me know what you think on that one. You want Juwan Jennings? Do you think that's for sure the thing? You let me know. I think that we're in a tight spot there with Juwan Jennings, so I think he's probably gone. Either way, another guy on the retool, per a comment earlier in the chat, another guy on the retool that I'm interested in your thoughts on would be Luke Farrell. He was the big move of free agency. I say that big move with quotations, right? Because that was the only guy that the Niners really put big money out there for, or the biggest amount of money out there for in free agency. It was Luke Farrell. And Luke Farrell's been good in the blocking game, not great. I feel like in pass blocking, he's given up some big ones. So don't love that. He's had some experience with, I believe it was the Jaguars, if I'm not mistaken. He had a couple nice little catches here and there. He had a couple catches this year, had a touchdown this year. But I don't know. The Luke Farrell experiment, I have question marks there. And those question marks were accentuated tonight, accentuated 100% when Brock Purdy throws a ball to Luke Farrell. He's standing there, and he doesn't even, I've never seen a tight end get bodied off the ball so easily as what Ernest Jones did to Luke Farrell tonight. I don't understand how a tight end in his weight, he's probably got a good 60 pounds on him, and it just didn't look like he had energy or interest in trying to catch the football. And then once he gets bodied, a few inches, he extends one hand to try and do a little pass breakup action. What was that? Genuinely, what was that? And the game wasn't completely over in that moment. The game was not completely over. It might have felt like it was over. It was not over. So, yeah, not a big fan of that. Let's get some comments on the retooling and what you guys think there. Love to keep Jennings, but we'll see. I didn't like Farrell's energy and that INT. He could have had that for sure. 100%. Agree. Yes, keep Jennings. He's a tough dude. Keeps a chip on his shoulder. Never quits and keeps competing. Jennings is a fighter. We need that attitude when things are down. I agree with you. On that. Appreciate the take. They have Farrell under contract for 3 years, so they have to cut Tonjes. Yeah, I hear that. I understand what you're saying. I don't think they will, though. I don't think they will. We'll see how it plays out. I don't think they're cutting Tonjes, man. But you let me know if you think that's the right move, if that's your opinion. Well, the interesting thing about your take on Pearsall watching INTs like it's his hobby, I'd love for you to give me a specific on that one, Ryan, because Juwan Jennings is the one who had the most. I think he was third in the NFL in terms of giving up INTs as the targeted receiver. So I'd love some specifics on that one. I can't remember, but yeah, that's interesting for sure. Personally used to it, and the team loves him and knows he's a baller and elite QB1. And we're talking about Brock Purdy. Look, Brock Purdy is a great player, man. I don't think we need to debate that anymore. Personally, I think Brock Purdy's a fantastic player. I'm a fan. I think I'm a little bit biased, but no, I do not believe that Brock Purdy is an issue on this team. If you want to make the argument, I suppose that like Brock Purdy loses Christian McCaffrey for a chunk in this game. Brock Purdy loses Jake Tonjes, one of his favorite targets when Kittle's not out there. And you want to say like, he struggled to like lead the team to victory or something. I get the argument. I just don't agree with it. Wow. Big Nasty at it again. Good night, faithful. Bang, bang, Niner gang. 100%. We're going to keep going on this one. Anybody has a CMC injury update, let me know for sure in the chat. I'm live with you guys, so I'm here. I'm not listening to Kyle Shanahan, so I definitely will be looking for that. As far as I'm concerned, I genuinely do believe that Brock Purdy is a fantastic quarterback. I do believe this was a retool year that we got a lot of extra out of. Like, I don't think going into this season, we knew. I'll tell you this. Going into the season, I told you I believed this team was an 11-win team. Okay? And going into the season, I thought if this team in a retool year with all these young players on defense can find a way to sneak into the playoffs, we'll see what happens, is what I said. And the Niners did more than that. They went into the playoffs. They went at the link in Philadelphia, and they beat the defending Super Bowl champions in Philly. Like, I'll give this team a ton of credit for that. 100%. So no, I'm not going to complain whatsoever about the season as a whole. But in this moment right now, watching the Seahawks dancing throughout the game because they were up so big that it was already over. No, it doesn't feel good in this exact moment, for sure. It doesn't feel good. And for those of you in the chat, I'm not going to put it because there's a little bit of choice language in there. If you want to tell me that you're not a fan of Shanahan, okay, that's fine. But I think you're crazy. After this season of all seasons, you want to get rid of Shanahan? That's crazy. That's crazy to me, right? Denver Broncos, what happened? Denver Broncos lose the Super Bowl to the Seahawks, right? The next year, they don't make the playoffs, and John Fox gets fired. Okay? So if you're looking for precedent for like when you fire a coach, last year would have been the precedent. Not this year, man. Not this year. You're crazy if you want to fire Kyle Shanahan after what this team has done this season, getting all the way to the divisional round with so many key pillars not here. No. You want to fire Shanahan, you do it on a year when they had the best roster in the NFL going into the season and they were 6-11. That's when you want to do it. And I'm not saying that I wanted that. I didn't want that. I still think Shanahan's a great coach. I would not get rid of him. He'd get snatched up in a heartbeat. But if you want to go there, I understand your argument. Okay. How about Bo Nix? Yeah, the Broncos had a crazy game. My wife's family, Broncos fans, so we watched the game, and a crazy game, wild game, electric victory. Hard to have it on a day like today too. Like I watched the opening play of the Niners game, and I'm like, come on, dude. We just watched the Broncos just like go and be actual gamers and win this game against the Bills. We watched Josh Allen. Ryan Jones, where you at about Josh Allen? Come at me, bro. Because you love to point it out. Josh Allen, 2 picks, 2 fumbles. And then Bo Nix, they win the game. Unbelievable. Overtime, victory, yada, yada, yada. And then Adam Schefter tweets it out, 20, 30 minutes after the game, that Bo Nix is out for the season with a broken bone in his ankle. Out. So they've got Jarrett Stidham is going to be starting next week in the AFC Championship game, which is unbelievable. Also, let me know. I want to know 49ers fans' opinions on this. 100%. Please let me know. Okay. If it comes down to it, in the NFC Championship game is the Seahawks against the Rams. If it happens, who do you want to win that game? Like, my gut is my dad was a Rams fan, so like I just get where this is coming from. My dad was a diehard Rams fan. So like I'm already a little biased, but after what happened tonight, I would love nothing more than to see the Seahawks lose. At the expense of any team in the NFL, I would love to see the Seahawks lose. Nothing would make me happier than to watch Sam Darnold throw 4 picks and see them lose. And it would be a great matchup in a way to have the Rams go against the Seahawks because of their game that they had, just a few weeks back where the Seahawks win in a fluky fashion. So I know it's hard to root for the Rams, but I would choose the Rams over the Seahawks after what I just saw. Oh my goodness. And you have that benefit too of the Rams have an old quarterback. Like they're kind of part of their roster is really young and good, but part of their roster is aging out. So, you got a huge quarterback situation that they have to figure out with Stafford. So yeah, I would love to see it, but I don't think it's actually gonna be the Rams. I think the Bears are gonna win. I think Stafford in the cold tomorrow night, dude, there's no way, in my opinion, that Matthew Stafford's going to come out of that game clean. He's going to throw some picks. And if he's throwing picks, I think the Chicago Bears will be able to win this game. But yeah, Bo Nix got hurt. It did not happen in the game. It happened after, or it happened in the game, but you didn't really see it in the game. It was after the overtime win that you found out. I know all the media will blame it on Purdy, but how were the offense and coaches helping him? The receivers, even Jennings, weren't helping him. I think CMC, Juice, and Tonjes did their best. But yeah, this is the fair comment, Ryan. I agree with you on here. I think the sucky thing about that game is you're going to have highlights from the second half when the game was basically over, and the Niners are just trying to find ways to move the ball down the field, and they're going for it on 4th down a bunch, and there's turnovers, and like it's going to look bad. But I agree with you completely. I thought Brock Purdy actually played really well. Overall, I thought he played really well. Not a perfect game. And with what he was working with, man, how quickly, even with Trent Williams back, how quickly they could just destroy the pocket on some of those plays. Puts Brock Purdy in a really tight spot. Doesn't really give wide receivers a ton of time to gain separation, which is why you need an elite receiver out there who is your separator, who is opening up. And to be fair, like when you say coaching, that does come on coaching as well. It does come on coaching as well. So I'm with you there. The INT looked unfair. I agree completely. He was grabbed from behind. Agreed. Fire Kyle since 2019. He's a joke. Yeah, I just disagree with you. Sorry. Darnold is better. You saw it this year, and he was good last year. Well, he was good last year with the Minnesota Vikings. Yes, until he wasn't in the playoffs. I wouldn't even say this year he's been great all the time. I think he makes some good passes, but I think he's playing really conservative football, and he's got great talents to throw to and great scheming to go with it. I think Kubiak's doing a great job over there. So I think there's a lot more there, but whatever. Let me know what you guys' final thoughts are in the comments, in the chat. I got to get to bed. I'm so glad I did not lose my voice. I was screaming all first half, and then by the time the game was where it was, I was just quiet and just sitting there. And I'm supposed to be singing at church tomorrow, so I better get my voice ramped up. Let me know what you guys think, though, in the chat and in the comments. Close this one out. Unbelievable season overall when it's all said and done, and so disappointing for the season to end the way that it did. man, that's the thing that really hurt me. I would love to have seen this game end, this season end in a way that they deserved. They earned the right to be in the divisional round. Make it a close game, please. Oh man, that's the most frustrating part. That's the thing that I'm like walking away from, that I'm bummed about. This team earned the right to be there. They deserved the right to be there. And I would have just loved if they could have at least kept it competitive. They walk out of that game with their heads held high, that they put their best stuff on the tape and they got beat. You can at least accept that personnel matchups just didn't go our way. But to end the season this way, such a bad taste in the mouth, that's hard, man. That's hard. And so I have to go back to what we felt from the very beginning of the season. That's the only way I can find a way to kind of cope with the way that this season ended, is to go back to the very, very beginning. Yeah. Purdy threw 58 yards on the Hail Mary. There we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that was pretty wild too. I saw that as well. I thought, for all those folks that want to say he doesn't have arm talent, yeah. He doesn't have the zip, maybe, like on 58 yards that some quarterbacks might have, but it doesn't matter. If he can get the ball there, he can get the ball there. Like, who cares? And he actually like hit him. He hit his receiver. Who was it? I think it was Tonjes, maybe. Whoever it was, I think it was Tonjes. It hit him in the hands. The only problem was the defensive back was close enough to get his hands in there too. So for sure. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, in the comments. I appreciate you guys. We're going to keep going. Don't go anywhere. The season is over, but it's not over. There's a lot of building. We're in year 1 of this cycle, of this retool. And so year 2 can only be better from here. There's only room for improvement from here. Getting Fred Warner back, getting Mykel Williams back, getting Nick Bosa back, getting George Kittle back at some point. I won't get into the rumors on that. They're very interesting, though, about some people thinking he could be ready week 5, week 6. I won't get into that. All right. I'll keep that one to the side for now. That's Dr. Nirav Pandya has said that, which is pretty wild, from what school is he at? UCSF. So anyway, you let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night. I hope you guys have a great time sitting on the couch, stress-free football tomorrow, and appreciate you guys. And we'll be back either tomorrow or Monday. I'm not 100% sure, but you'll have a video and you'll have a winner of the competition, $50 gift card coming your way in the next day or two. Appreciate you. Have a good one.